Senator from Vermont.
President, I ask consent to continue as though in morning business.
Without objection.
And I also ask consent. I understand the majority leader may be coming to the floor for make a request. If he does, I would certainly be willing to yield to him, provided I don't lose my right to the floor. Mr. President, a lot has happened here in Washington in the last few days. Marcel and I knew that a number of Vermonters were coming down for the Women's March in Washington. We sent out on social media, we said, look, any Vermonters are coming down, why don't you join us for coffee? And we arranged to get the Mott House right here on Capitol Hill so they could. We at first didn't know how many would show up until we started getting the responses. People from my office and Marcel and I were there shortly after 6 in the morning, and people started pouring in. We finally had 500 or 600 from the little state of Vermont came in there. And we met Mr. President. I see the majority leader. I will yield, but ask to consent that it not interrupt my statement, and that I get the floor back when he's finished.
Without objection.
I understand he's not quite ready, so let me go on about what happened. We had 500 or 600 Vermonters came into the Mott House. I had a chance to speak with them, and then my wife, Marcel, gave one of the most powerful speeches, totally ad-libbed, that I've heard, pointing out the stakes of what's going on in the country. And of course, she pointed to the Supreme Court right next door. What got me is these people came from all walks of life in Vermont. Some I knew, a lot I didn't. Some were Republicans, some were Democrats, some were independents, all very concerned. Most came down in buses, driving all night long. It's a little over 500 miles. They came down so they could say no to hate. And we had thousands more who marched to our state capital, Montpelier. And let me put that in perspective. Our state capital, I was born there, I know it very well, has only 8,500 people. 15,000 stood on our State House lawn to say no to hate. I got some of the most enthusiastic emails and tweets. My 14-year-old granddaughter, Francesca, who told me how thrilled she was to be there. She spoke about people from my office and others who spoke at that. One Vermonter who took part in the enormous Women's March in Montpelier told a member of my staff, "This is the first time I've been able to smile since Election Day." And what we heard over and over again from the people who are here at the Mott House, who met with us from Vermont and on the march during the hours when Marcel and I marched, we heard them say that they wanted their voices to be heard. They wanted the president to know the American people will hold him accountable. Our daughter, Alicia, and our 12-year-old granddaughter, Sophia, marched in that. Marcel and I were proud to march with them. I was proud to see this 12-year-old holding her head high and knowing the respect that was being shown to her and her mother, just as it was to Marcel and I. And she knew that respect went to her in a way that reflected everybody black, white, no matter what you might be. People cared. Now, we've heard some very disrespectful and offensive and actually dangerous comments that have come into our national discourse of all natures. But the millions of men and women who participated in marches across the country this weekend offered a powerful statement that they will not tolerate policies that restrict the rights of women or that treat women like second-class citizens. They won't treat my wife as one. They won't treat my daughter as one. They won't treat my 3 wonderful granddaughters as one. And that all 5 of our grandchildren will be treated the same. But I'm afraid that the Trump administration ignored the voices of millions of Americans, and it's already undermining the rights of women. 2 of the president's first executive orders targeted women. His first executive order attempts to dismantle the Affordable Care Act, which throws into limbo the health insurance arrangements of millions of American women who've been guaranteed maternity coverage. As a part of the health care plans, who've been able to have affordable birth control for the first time, who have been able to tell insurance companies that no, pregnancy is not a pre-existing condition when you go to get insurance. In other words, women can be treated the same as men when they seek insurance. Now, President Trump also reinstated the so-called Mexico City policy, a policy that would be illegal and unconstitutional in this country. He said that we can't even talk about birth control. We can't even talk outside this country in our foreign aid program. A former senator I respected highly, a Republican senator, when he was chair of the Senate Appropriations Committee, and he was strongly against abortion. But he said this kind of a policy is only going to result in more abortions and more pregnancy-related deaths in developing countries. And he's right. He's right. Affordable health care, affordable birth control, availability, that will bring down abortions. That will bring down pregnancy-related deaths, whether in the United States or in those countries we help. Mr. President, Americans are watching. From what I heard and saw from Vermonters on Saturday, I can tell you they're fired up and ready to go. We need a president who is committed to equality, opportunity for all people, no matter their sex or their gender, their race. We cannot stand for policies that turn back the clock on so much progress that we've made. To paraphrase Dr. Martin Luther King, we have to accept finite disappointment, but we must not give up infinite hope. Only light can crowd out the darkness. I was proud to see so many Vermonters speaking up. They're not going away, and as I pledged to them on Saturday, I'm not going away. I'm going to speak. I'm going to speak in the same way I did when I walked, Marcel and I walked with our daughter and our granddaughter down on the Million Women March. I will continue to speak up as the people in my office in Vermont did, in Montpelier. I will speak up for all 5 of our grandchildren, for Francesca and Sophia and Fiona, but also for Patrick and Rowan. I'll speak up for all Americans. I'll speak up for all Vermonters. They expect nothing less, and they deserve nothing less.